Hi, boys and girls, and welcome to Learning with Miss Nancy. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of reading books. I'm so glad you're with me today. You know I love spending time with you. So today we're going to talk about the importance of reading books. And actually, that's our word of today, the word book. Now that's an easy word because learning with Miss Nancy, we really learn a lot of hard and difficult, complicated words. But today we're going to just review an easy word. The word is book. What's the word? Book. Say it again. Book. Tell the ceiling. Book. Tell the floor. Book. Tell the wall. Book. Tell the door. Book. And the word is book. Great. Now let's spell the word together. Ready? Excellent. And the word is book. Very good. And let's hear the ending, that K sound. Book. And you know what a book is. A book is a lot of printed pages that you bind together, right? And a book has a cover, a front cover. It has a back cover. And for many of your books, there are illustrations, which pictures that tell a story, right? Books tell stories. Books provide information. You can purchase them at the store. You can go to the library to get them. Books are all over the place. And books are things that we read. Yes, things that we read. Here's a book. So you might say, oh, Miss Nancy, I don't think books are necessary. I have video games and I'd rather play those all day long. Or I like to watch television and I'd rather do that all day long. Or I like to stay on my iPad and look at videos, things like that. And that's all well and good. There's nothing wrong with it. But you must take time out of your busy schedule to read a book. There are benefits to books. Books help to stimulate the brain. It gets that brain of yours to working. Books help you to become more creative. It builds your imagination. Books take you on trips that you might not necessarily be able to go on by yourself or with your family. If you read a book about Hawaii, guess what? If you've never gone to Hawaii, and you may not ever go to Hawaii, if you read a book about Hawaii, you've almost kind of gone there. Vicariously, you spent a vacation in Hawaii because you read a book. Books also help you to build your vocabulary. Yes, it helps you to get rich and build rich vocabulary words. It helps you to speak using complete sentences. Books help you to engage in conversation with people and have interesting topics that you can join in the fun and have something to contribute. So books just make you a well-rounded person. Because if you don't read books, you're kind of missing out on some very special things in life. So to add to your video games, to add to your computer time, to add to your TV time, you need to set time aside for books. I like to read. And when I read, books take me on a journey with my emotions. I like to get a nice book, and I normally try to read in a quiet place in my house where it's not a lot of noise or distractions. And I typically like to drink my favorite beverage, and it's normally hot chocolate. But when it's warm outside like it is now, I might get something cold. So I'll sip my beverage and I'll read my book. And as I'm reading, I'll turn the pages and I'll read something that'll make me laugh. So funny. So books make you laugh. And I'll continue reading. And I'll read something that's a little sad. I might not cry, but I might feel a little sad. I might say, oh. And as I continue reading the story in my book, I might find some interesting words that I'm not familiar with. And the other day, as a matter of fact, I was reading a book and I found a word that I wasn't familiar with. See, Miss Nancy, like you, I learn new things too. So books help you to learn new words, new ideas, and new things. And here's the big word. That's a big word, isn't it? It's catawampus. Catawampus. So when I read the book and I saw the word catawampus, I said, Now, when you get older, you'll learn to figure out what words are because it's called reading words in context. And that means that you look at the word and then you look at all of the other words surrounding the word to kind of figure out what the writer is trying to say. And you can define the words that way. But I got a good idea as what catawampus was. And it means something's not quite right. Something's a little out of place, out of order, a little disruptive, you know? It's not straight, crooked a little bit. Catawampus. Isn't that a funny word? And it's a funny sounding word and it tickles my ears. And that's why I like to read, because I like to learn new words that tickle my ear. And the word is catawampus. Now, I know that you're in preschool or nursery school or daycare, and catawampus may not be a word that you'll add to your vocabulary, but some of you may want to add this to your vocabulary because it's all about exposing you. And no, you may not learn how to spell it or define it, but you've heard it on Learning with Miss Nancy, so it's something that you've been exposed to. Catawampus. And so if I were to explain that word to you, I would say, the nursery rhyme. The lady in the shoe had so many kids, she didn't know what to do, right? That's a catawampus. That's an example. That's a description of a catawampus. Because who lives in a shoe? If you were to walk down the street and if your friend said, can you walk me home? And you say, sure. And then you walk to their house and their house is a shoe, looking like a shoe, you would say, that's not right. That shoe's out of order. Every other house is built like a regular house, but that shoe, it's not on point. It's a little off. It doesn't fit on the block. It's a catawampus. It shouldn't be there. Okay? So that's a good example of a catawampus. Now, you've heard the word, and if you hear it again, you'll say, oh, I remember that word. I put out of order, not straight, crooked, a little off point. Catawampus. So you read your book like Miss Nancy and you find new words, and now I know catawampus and I add it to my vocabulary and I keep reading. And again I find another paragraph that makes me laugh and I might pause and take another sip of my beverage. It's so good. And I read and I just imagine what the author is trying to say, and I kind of use my brain to figure out what's going on. And it's even though I'm reading, I'm sort of thinking about things as I'm reading. So reading also helps you to think. So take time every day, no matter what, to read a book. Because reading a book will make you real smart. Reading a book every day will build your vocabulary. Reading a book will give you strong brain muscles. Reading a book will help you to engage in very interesting and positive conversations. So when you start talking to your friends and when you speak in your family gatherings, they'll say, "Ooh, that little boy reads a lot of books." And someone will say, "How do you know?" "You can tell by the way they talk, or by the vocabulary words, or by the subject matter." Oh yes, they'll love it. Okay? So I'll take another sip. And when you're reading, you're kind of young now to be drinking a beverage and having a snack. But when you get older, and when you learn how not to make a lot of mess, you might be able to, read a book and maybe crunch on some crackers or pretzels, or take a sip of your favorite beverage when you're older. Because some people love to read and sit in a favorite chair and maybe have music playing in the background and turn the TV off, turn the computer off, and just go read a book. And it just takes you on a trip someplace where nobody's gone before, and it's just you and your book. Okay? So let's take a look at a video I made to further explain why it's important to read books. Children need to read books. Books are on the chairs, books are on the stairs, books are in front of the door, and there are lots of books on the floor. Books are in a box, and I found 2 books in my socks. Books are everywhere you see. There are plenty of books for you and for me. Children need to read books. Did you like that video? And weren't those a lot of books? And all of those books are my books that I purchased. Yes, for you. And I've read them to children all around my city. Yes. So reading is important, and I want you to start reading if you haven't started. And if you have started, make sure that you continue to read interesting and exciting books so that that brain could keep working. Also, reading books helps you with writing. It helps you with your writing skills. And I'm going to tell you something. Because I love to read, I've become an author. Yes, I've written children's books as well. And I started a couple years ago, and now I have 4 books under my belt, and I'm now working on the 5th book. My first book that I wrote for young little people like you, young people, preschool, daycare, nursery school, and homeschool children, Skin Color, Cookie Color, Sugary Sweet to Me. And this book is about loving your skin color, no matter what color. It helps you to understand that you are beautiful just the way you are. My second book, I Don't Know Why. And this is about a little boy who's asking a lot of questions. Why is the sky blue? Why is grass green? Why do polar bears wash up in the snow? And ask all these questions. But then when he gets to the end of the story, he finds out why he doesn't know the answers to his questions. My third book, Don't Make the Clouds Cry. And it talks about what happens when clouds cry. When clouds cry, what happens? It rains. Yes, it's my third book. And my most recent book is ulifoofers. And Ulifoofers is about a delightful, animated, fictional character who does all things well. Ulifoofers is smart like you, he's fun-loving like you, and he is kind like you are, right? And beautiful illustrations. So that's my 4th book, and now I'm working on my 5th book. And guess what my 5th book is about? The very topic that we talked about today, books. Books galore. Books are everywhere, okay? So this concludes Learning with Miss Nancy. I hope you had a wonderful, informative stay with me today. And remember to tell all of your family and friends to subscribe to my channel. Until next time. Bye.